Hi everyone, this is Mandy and welcome to such a wonderful collaboration honoring our veterans, military service members. Before my video was Christina Welsh, so if you missed her video, please make sure you don't miss her video. And up after me will be Julie E, or Art by Julie E. So just so you can kind of keep up with where we are. So I'm totally honored to have been invited to participate in this beautiful collaboration to honor veterans and military service members. So what you're seeing here is a Navy uniform. We were supposed to use camouflage uniform, but my original plan did not go very well. So I went with a dressy uniform, because I'm going to do kind of a sparkly piece. So in my mind, if we were going to honor the military at like a formal event, we would get dressed up and I might wear something sparkly. So I wanted to explain why I'm showing you this uniform instead of a camouflage uniform. So anyway, this is very special to me because my dad is a Navy veteran, and so I chose the Navy for that reason. So I'm way too zoomed in here, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to use a 16-inch wood round, cradled wood board, and I'm going to use Diamond Starlight Celestial Fireglass. And I'm going to use some gold mirrored glass from Michaels to kind of give it some depth. And I wanted to show you kind of how I arrange my glass. So I'm going to do a geode using those colors. So I wanted to pick a dark blue color. And so, and then I wanted to use mostly like white or sparkly white with some gold accents. And so that's why I showed you the dress uniform, because that was kind of my inspiration when my camo uniform idea didn't go very well. So what I'm doing here is just arranging my glass, my fire glass here, and the board is dry, right? So once I get it arranged, I'm just going to drizzle some resin to kind of tack it down. So I end up having a little bit of extra resin, and so I wasn't sure on the color, so I mixed up a color from Meyspring, and I don't remember what it's called, but I'll put it in the description box because I wanted a dark blue, like a navy color. So I ended up mixing it up so I could see if it was going to be the shade I wanted. And since it seemed like it was, I just went ahead and poured a strip down. So it seems really awkward because I wasn't really at that point of laying down my colors yet. So now you can see where I'm just filling in the gold glass, basically where there's kind of some gaps because the fire glass is like 1/4 inch. So sometimes it's a little bit bulky by itself. So I really like this combo of the two of them together. So here we go. Okay, so I'm basically just drizzling resin, just kind of showing you what I did for this is I mixed up some KS resin, liquidy split, which is a fast setting resin. And I just drizzled it all over. I wasn't going to have time to do the colors the same night anyway. But the idea with that is, you know, it would be relatively dry within 2 hours. So if I needed to go in and do some work on it, I could. So that's all you're doing is you're tacking it down. It's not going to perfectly get covered in one pass. So when you go in and do your other layers, you kind of just drizzle a little on your glass and it helps kind of reinforce it. And occasionally you have to do it a couple times, but that's all I'm doing initially is just kind of laying it down and using the resin as a little bit of a glue. All right, so now I want to kind of create a little bit of a border around my glass. So this is Shooting Star from Colourarte. This is a Bling It color, so you can actually use it like you would use a straight mica. So you can use it in acrylic pouring. The particulates are particularly large, or in resin, but this and Milky Way, which is kind of a smaller particulate of the same color, are so gorgeous in resins because in geodes because of the sparkle. So it's like a frosty white sparkle. It has like an interference type. Anyway, so gorgeous. So I've obviously sped this up for the sake of time, but what I'm doing is letting this kind of dry around my glass so that when I pour my color, if my color were to shift as it dries, hopefully it's not going to shift into my glass. So this is Opulent Tanzanite from Meyspring. Beautiful, beautiful color. Make sure you check out the description box for discount codes below. I'm trying to work on one with Meyspring, so hopefully I'll have one by the time this comes out in case you want to check out that pigment. Anyway, I like the dark blue. But this is, as I mentioned in the beginning, I was kind of just testing out this color to see if it was going to work for what I wanted. So I just went ahead and poured what I tested. So I was actually using the fast setting epoxy, so it was already really thick. So I just used what I had and filled it in. And then I just let it dry like this. And so when I come in and do my second layer, I'm going to pour around it. So just to explain, I don't normally do this, but I was testing the color and I wanted to see if it was going to give me that navy blue. I wanted a deep, dark blue. So this color actually ends up being more like our matte color, even though it has some sparkle and shimmer to it. It's obviously nothing as crazy sparkly as what you're going to see from Colourarte. So it ends up being kind of our more muted color, which is kind of the intent. So this here is gold diamond. So this is an interference gold with a really large particulate. So since I need to drizzle a little bit more resin over my glass, I'm going to use this gold diamond to give it some gold shimmer. This is the next day, by the way. So my first layer has dried. Obviously my first layer doesn't cover the whole board. So all I'm doing is just mixing that gold diamond into some clear resin, drizzling a little bit over my glass to help reinforce what I've already put down. You don't have to do the gold diamond, but I figured it'll give me a little extra pop of gold shimmer. And, you know, I like to use it. So that was, that's all I'm doing here. And obviously I sped that up because how exciting can it be to drizzle resin over glass? So we're going to use more Shooting Star, which is the color we used on the first rows around the rocks or the glass. Going to use more of that Opulent Tanzanite. I tried to use less color to get a little bit of a lighter color so we could see more of the shimmer. It's still pretty dark. I also experimented with an Angel Wings color from Colourarte, which is also a Bling It color. It's kind of an interference blue, but in kind of a pearl gray base. But first I'm going to show you this blue diamonds color. Similar to the gold diamonds, but we are going to use this in some of our layering, mostly just to kind of create some shadowy, shimmery colors next to the blue. So this is the Angel Wings color. Again, you can use this in resin or in acrylic. It looks super gorgeous in resin. I thought I would use it as like an accent color next to the blue, but next to the whitish color, it just ends up looking a little bit more gray than I prefer. So I end up kind of using it as a streak throughout the middle blue. So now we're pouring down some more of the Opulent Tanzanite in the middle there. Because keep in mind, we just poured those first two little ribbons using the color I'd mixed up to test, right? So the resin I'm using for this pour, I put down the Angel Wings there. I'm using KS resin. I'm using one of the, I want to say it's Liquid Art Ultra UV. I'll have to try to remember what it's called. So I just put the Angel Wings there on the blue in hopes that it would give me some kind of cool shadowing effects, and it does. And I kind of leave it there in the middle, and I end up kind of covering it up elsewhere because I wanted a little interest there in the middle. So yeah, so it's beautiful in resin. Just spectacular. So now you see that little layer I just poured, that's the blue diamonds. And you see how as it moves across that blue, it's giving us this cool kind of like shading over the blue color. So I kind of did that on purpose, but then I realized I'm going to end up covering some of that up when I do my gold glitter lines. But I kind of, you'll see when I do the glitter that I kind of intentionally go through that area so that I'm keeping some of that interest because I like it. I like the kind of shadowing effect it gives us. So I'm basically just filling in here. I'm trying not to get too much resin on the board because resin is self-leveling. So if I have too much on the board, it's going to push everything off. So this is the next day. So we are going to use this Goldeneye, the fine and the chunky, and we're going to make a combo. I got that glitter from bulkglitters.com, and I actually got it to replace one of my favorite glitters, and it's almost exactly what that glitter was. So I thought I'd be real clever and show you guys how you can use like a Ziploc bag and cut the corner and kind of pipe your glitter out, which is how I did it the very first time. And it does work, but I feel like you lose so much glitter getting it into that stupid bag. And I don't feel like you have quite as much control. So the reason I did this instead of using a syringe like I normally do is I was worried that the chunky part of the glitter would clog the syringe. So you'll see I sped this up like a bunch. It probably took me 45 minutes to do this. But you can see my lines are coming out kind of crazy. So you can see where I'm starting to have trouble here. So in a minute, I switch to just using the cup, and it was easier, but my glitter was pouring out too fast and it was too hard to control the lines. So these lines are much thicker than I intended them to be, but once it's on there, right? So you can see how I'm deliberately going in through that shadowy part so that we keep the shadowy part. Right now that looks a little funky, but when we add the paint pen on the either side of the glitter line, it kind of helps it pull together. So hang with me. So here I pinched the cup, went on real easy, but it started to spread out. So I failed to mention when I first showed you this glitter, because I've had to speed this up so fast, that in order to get glitter lines that are kind of going to stay put, you have to mix a ton of glitter where it's really, really thick. So here you see I finally gave in using the syringe, having a much better time. So I will not deviate from the syringe again. Some people even use squeeze bottles, but that just seems like there would be more waste than with a syringe. More control though. So yeah. So now this is the next day. So I'm using my Craft Smart metallic gold paint pen. This is the finest one. I got it at Michael's. You can get it at Amazon too. And I did have trouble with this skipping a little bit, so I'm wondering if I snagged it on some glitter or something. So I sped this up a bunch. So I'm basically going in and I'm drawing outside of both sides of the glitter line. Just kind of creating almost like a 3D look. And it just adds that little extra layer of dimension. So anyway, I sped this way up because how exciting can it be to watch someone draw lines? And I kept erasing and redoing them because something would get on my nerves and I would change it. So this took like an hour, which is absurd. It should take like 15 minutes. Anyway, my camera stops recording somewhere here because it died. So, but you get the idea. So momentarily, I'm going to bring you in for a close-up. After this, I put a couple of coats of resin, well, like 3 or 4, maybe 3. I didn't film that, obviously. But the one thing I did off camera is on my final coat, I drizzled a little bit more resin on the glass, and I sprinkled some glitter glass for some added dimension. So hopefully you can see that in the close-up. Sorry that I keep getting right in the way. I was obviously fighting with this for a really long time. I kept turning it around, deleting the lines, adding them back, fussing. And even after I finished it, I'm like, oh, I should have done this with this line. I was having problems with my pen. I don't normally have issues with my pen, but it was skipping. It was super annoying. All right, so here it is before the final coat. This is just after we've added the lines, and I'll bring you in for a close-up shortly. Okay, everyone, so here's the finished geode. After my line work, which I think my camera stopped recording, this has had several coats of resin, It's beautiful. I really think it turned out lovely. And as I mentioned, my dad is the Navy veteran in our family. So this whole time I've kept him in the loop. And I've been showing him the project and he knows what it's about and all that. So it's been kind of fun. Obviously, he wouldn't wear something this sparkly, but he appreciates the kind of formal attire uniform thing I was going for. So you can see down in here, where's my finger, that blue diamonds. So instead of being like the kind of the sparkly white multicolored, you got the blue diamonds here. And you can see where I experimented with the angel wings and we have like this kind of light blue streak in here. It works in here. I didn't necessarily like the angel wings as its own layer just because I felt like it was a little too gray for this. And I kind of deliberately kept these places where it overlapped because I like the shadow. Then we have more of the beautiful sparkly white, which is, you can see why I want to use this in like every geode, right? It's so gorgeous. And so here we have some interference blue, well, it's interference, but it's the blue diamonds that kind of swept over this blue part, giving us this really cool color. And here's our glass. What I did off camera is I took some glitter glass, which you can get from Meyer Imports. It's like little tiny shards of glass, but it's very reflective. So in my final coat, I drizzled a little bit of resin over my glass and I sprinkled the glitter glass, knowing obviously it's not all going to stay, but it gives you a little bit of extra sparkle, which I'll show you in a minute. You can kind of see when I shift over it like that. Just gives you that little extra pop of sparkle. You don't want to drizzle over the glass though, so that's why I did it at that last step. And unfortunately you're going to lose some of it just because you can't ensure that it's all going to fall onto resin, so it's a casualty of war. But where you see this extra kind of like sparkly part, that's where the glitter glass is, like right there. Anyway, I'll show you more on this other side in a second. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. This one is up in our Etsy shop, I hope, by the time this event rolls out. And it's a 16-inch. I took the tape off the sides. The sides are white. And I think it turned out really pretty. So it's been a joy to get to do this collaboration with all these wonderful artists, and thank you, Nathan, for organizing and inviting us. And I want to give you guys a little glimpse into this glitter glass if I can. You can kind of see it right there. I don't know if you can see this shard. It keeps sparkling. There's some right on top of this gold. You can see it. Anyway, I just wanted you to see the effect. It's hard to see clearly on camera, but I forget to use it sometimes, and it really adds a little pizzazz, you know. Anyway, thank you all so much. Thank you all of my fellow artists. Please check out Julie E. She's coming up next, and I'm sure she's gonna wow us. And anyway, we're thankful for all of our veterans and all of those who serve our country, and for their families and for the sacrifices that they make that some of us will never fully know. So happy Veterans Day if you're in the United States, and wherever you are, celebrate your veterans. And yeah, so thanks for watching.